You have to laugh at how fast some people can turn a care package into a full-blown royal crisis. Seriously. Notorious JTB shares that he received a thoughtful package from Meghan, posts about it online, and within minutes, certain outlets are acting like they've uncovered the plot of a Hollywood thriller. A care package, that's it. Not classified documents, not a secret payoff, not a royal coup. A care package. The reaction was so over the top, you'd think Meghan had personally parked a UFO on the front lawn. And here's what regular people understand immediately. If someone has supported you for years, defended you when others wouldn't, and consistently spoken up on your behalf, sending them a thank you gift isn't exactly a shocking development. That's called appreciation. That's called being human. Most of us do some version of it all the time. Your friend helps you through a rough patch, you buy them lunch. Someone shows up for you when everyone else disappears, you send them something nice. It's not complicated. But somehow, when Meghan does it, suddenly we're supposed to treat it like the mystery of the century. And that's where people start laughing, because the outrage feels completely disconnected from reality. What makes this even funnier is watching the double standards fly around at warp speed. The same people who normally tell everyone to be kind, show gratitude, and support others suddenly act like appreciation is suspicious if Meghan is involved. Really? That's the hill we're climbing today? Meanwhile, most ordinary people are looking at this story and thinking, wait a minute, we're having a national debate over a gift basket? The rent is due, food prices are up, people are trying to survive Monday mornings, and somehow we're expected to gasp dramatically over a care package. Please. The truth is, the reaction ended up becoming bigger than the actual story. Notorious JTB was happy. Meghan showed appreciation. End of transaction. Everything else was just people desperately trying to turn a simple act of kindness into a scandal because a simple act of kindness doesn't generate enough clicks. And honestly, that's the funniest part. Some folks worked harder creating the controversy than Meghan probably did putting the package together. That's not a scandal, that's comedy. One reason so many people gravitate toward Notorious JTB is that he stays in his lane. And I mean that as a compliment. While the internet is busy turning everything into a cage fight, JTB tends to focus on the stories, the headlines, and the treatment Harry and Meghan receive, rather than spending all day throwing personal insults around. That's what catches people's attention. You don't have to agree with every opinion he has. That's not the point. The point is that viewers know exactly what they're getting. He looks at a story, gives his take, points out what he believes are inconsistencies, and lets his audience decide for themselves. Simple. No smoke machines, no dramatic soundtrack needed, just commentary. And honestly, regular people respect that. Because we're living in a time when everybody seems to be yelling, everybody's trying to go viral, everybody's racing to come up with the most outrageous take possible. Then along comes somebody who says, here's what I see, here's why I think it matters. That's refreshing. It's also why some critics seem so frustrated. When someone sticks to discussing articles, headlines, media coverage, and public behavior, it becomes much harder to dismiss them as just another internet troll looking for attention. People can disagree with his conclusions, that's fair game, but viewers keep coming back because they feel he's speaking about issues that matter to them: fairness, accountability, and how public narratives get shaped. And let's be honest, a lot of Harry and Meghan supporters feel exhausted by years of seeing the same arguments, the same headlines, and the same cycles repeated over and over. So when somebody comes along and challenges those narratives, people listen. Not because he's waving a magic wand, not because he's claiming to know everything, but because he speaks with conviction and says what many of his viewers are already thinking. That's why his audience keeps growing. Not because people love drama, but because people are tired of it. At this point, some headlines are just doing cardio with nonsense. Because how do you take a simple care package story and turn it into a full-blown conspiracy board with red strings and pins everywhere? Notorious JTB gets a gift from Meghan, a thoughtful gesture. People see it and go, Nice, that's cool. Then certain outlets jump in like, ah, yes, but what if this is actually a secret reward system for opinions? Be serious. That's where it gets funny. They try to frame it like JTB got paid off for what he says online, when anyone who actually follows him knows that's not how this works. The guy talks about media coverage, public narratives, and how the Sussexes are treated. Whether you agree or not, it's commentary, not some underground mission. But nuance doesn't sell clicks, so suddenly the story gets stretched like chewing gum. Then comes the next move, and this is where people start laughing out loud. They bring up his support for Meghan's wine like it's some kind of scandal. Imagine that. A man buys a product he likes. That's it. That's the reveal. In real life, that's called being a customer. In headline land, it's treated like Exhibit A in a courtroom drama. And regular people are just sitting there blinking. Because most of us live in a world where supporting someone means exactly that, supporting them. You buy the thing if you like it. You talk about the creator if you enjoy their work. You don't call the press to announce it like it's a national event. What's really going on here is simple. Some outlets are trying to force drama into a moment that doesn't have any. A care package gets sent to Notorious JTB, and suddenly it's spun into some dramatic morality play, like we're all supposed to clutch our pearls and gasp. But social media didn't bite, not even a nibble. People jumped straight into the comments like, hold on, what are we actually talking about here? And what came out was pure frustration. Regular users pointing out what they see every single day. One narrative for the Sussexes, another narrative for everyone else. No overcomplication, just straight talk. One commenter basically summed up the feeling a lot of people have, that while Harry and Meghan get dragged daily across headlines, other figures are surrounded by networks of support, friendly meetings, and soft focus coverage, and nobody calls it out the same way. That's what people are reacting to. Not drama, not noise, the imbalance. Then you've got the bigger question people keep throwing back at the media. Why is it fine in one direction but suspicious in the other? Because supporters are looking at things like Christmas events, social circles, media relations, and thinking, hang on, why is that treated as normal there, but everything connected to Meghan gets turned into a problem? That's the part that sticks. And when someone like JTB gets dragged into it, it just highlights the gap even more. People see him as someone who comments on media behavior and public narratives around the Sussexes, not some cartoon villain in a headline war. So when supporters defend him, it's less about internet drama and more about fatigue. They're tired of watching the same pattern repeat. Something small happens, it gets inflated, it gets reframed, it gets turned into something it never was. And at some point, people just start calling it out in plain language. No fancy words, no careful framing, just we see what's going on. That's the vibe in the comments. Not chaos, clarity. And whether people agree or not, one thing is obvious. Social media isn't as easy to steer as it used to be. People are paying attention, and they're talking back. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm your host, Miles. If you enjoyed this one, don't just sit there like a royal guard on overtime. Hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the next drop. Because trust me, if the headlines keep going like this, we're all gonna need popcorn. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them, I laugh, I learn, I question humanity a little bit, you know, the usual. And as always, stay sharp, stay real, and I'll catch you in the next one.